Everybody talks about dreams. Everybody has a vision. But let me tell you something real. The world doesn't reward potential. It rewards execution. You either get up and make it happen or you get left behind. That's it. There's no in between. You either execute or you get executed by life, by doubt, by fear, by procrastination, by your excuses. You think your gift is enough? You think your talent alone is going to get you there? No, execution is the great separator. Execution is the difference between the successful and the stuck. The greats don't wait for perfect timing. They move even when it's uncomfortable. They show up even when they're tired. They finish what they start. Why? Because they understand the truth. If you don't handle your business, life will handle you. You waiting for motivation? That's cute. But the clock is ticking. The opportunity you missed, somebody else took it. The moment you hesitated, that was the moment somebody else advanced. The second you gave in to comfort, that was the second life reminding you it's ruthless to those who don't move. If you don't execute, your future will be executed. Your dream will die in a graveyard of hesitation. You say you want it, but do your actions prove it? Do you stay up when everyone else is asleep? Do you grind when it's hard, when it's boring, when it doesn't pay off right away? Or do you run back to the same old habits that keep you average? Let me make this plain. If you want to rise, you better develop a bias toward action. Stop talking, stop posting, stop planning, and start doing. Because at the end of the day, you either kill. Everybody has a dream. Everybody has a vision of where they want to go in life. But the sad truth is that most people would never get there. And it's not because they didn't have the talent. It's not because they weren't smart enough or gifted enough. It's because they never moved. They never acted. They never executed. And in this world, it's not the dreamers who rise to the top. It's the doers. It's not the thinkers who get rewarded. It's the ones who step into the fire and make things happen, whether they feel like it or not. Execution is the great divider. It's the line in the sand that separates those from those who deliver. You can be the most talented person in the room. You can have all the potential, all the creativity, all the ambition in your heart. But if you don't execute, none of it means anything. Talent without action is like a loaded gun with no one to pull the trigger. It just sits there, dangerous but useless. You don't get paid for what you're capable of doing. You get paid for what you actually do. There are thousands of people with more talent than the ones at the top. But the difference is the people at the top made the decision to act. They made the decision to do something every single day. They didn't wait. They didn't wait. They didn't hesitate. They moved. You see, execution is not about perfection. It's not about doing it right every time. It's about doing it, period. You learn while doing. You grow while moving. But you never grow by sitting still. You never evolve by waiting for the perfect moment. That perfect moment is a lie. It's an illusion. If you keep waiting for everything to line up before you start, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. Meanwhile, somebody else with less talent and fewer resources will pass you because they've decided to move. They decided to try to fail, to try again, and to keep showing up even when it wasn't pretty. That's what execution looks like. It's not glamorous. It's gritty. It's not about being inspired. It's about being committed. Because inspiration fades. Execution builds momentum. And momentum beats motivation every single time. You've got to be willing to get your hands dirty. You've got to be willing to look foolish while you figure it out. You've got to understand that the work is the reward. That's showing up day after day, even when you don't see the results yet. That's the process. That's where greatness is forged. You can have the best strategy in the world, but if you never implement it, it's just a theory. And the world doesn't reward theories, it rewards results. Execution is what builds confidence, not words, not hype, action. Every time you follow through, you strengthen your identity. You begin to believe in yourself. Not because of what you say, but because of what you do. It's easy to say you're a hard worker. It's easy to say you want it. But do your actions match your words when it's early in the morning and no one's watching? Do you still show up? When it's late at night and you're tired, do you still get it done? That's where it counts. That's where champions are made. In the unseen moments, the uncelebrated grind, the daily discipline that nobody claps for, but everybody notices in the end. The truth is, most people will fold when it gets hard. They'll come out strong in the beginning, but once the excitement wears off and the reality sets in, they back down. They let fear and fatigue and frustration dictate their pace. But the ones who execute, they find a way, even when they're not sure, even when they're scared, even when they're tired. Because they understand that consistency beats intensity. They understand that progress is a result of repeated action, not random bursts of effort. They don't rely on feelings, they rely on standards. You have to raise your standard. You have to stop accepting your own excuses. You have to stop being impressed by your own plans and start being obsessed with following through. Do it when it's hard. Do it when it's boring. Do it when no one claps. Because the results don't lie. And if you want to be at the top of anything, sports, business, relationships, personal goals, you have to become obsessed with execution. You have to love the process more than the promise. You have to value action over aesthetics. Don't just look the part. Live the part. Breathe it. Grind it. Show it. And here's what separates the elite. They don't wait for motivation. They don't wait to feel like it. They move anyway. They act anyway. They finish anyway. Because they understand that dreams without discipline are just fantasy. And every second you're not executing, someone else is. Someone else is gaining ground while you're standing still. Someone else is getting sharper while you're making excuses. And life is not going to wait for you. You either move or be moved. You either execute or you get executed. The choice is yours. Action is always greater than explanation. You can talk all day about what you want, what you're trying to do, what you almost did, and what went wrong. But until you put in the work and show results, none of that talk matters. Life doesn't reward good intention. It rewards consistent action. You can have the best reasons, the most painful past, the most passionate dreams. But if you don't get up and move, if you don't follow through, if you don't turn your words into work, nothing's going to change. Nobody cares about why you didn't. They care about whether you did. We live in a world full of talkers, people who can explain every failure with smooth words and convincing logic. People who can give you a 5-minute story about why they didn't finish school, why they didn't follow their dreams, why their business didn't work, why they're stuck. Didn't work, why they're stuck. But the truth is, all that explaining is just a smokescreen. It doesn't build anything, doesn't feed your family, it doesn't solve your problems, and it sure doesn't bring you closer to success. You can't talk your way to the top. You climb there with grit, sacrifice, and action. You build your future with effort, not explanations. Let me ask you something. Do you want to be understood or do you want to be successful? Because too many people are stuck trying to get people to understand their struggle instead of putting all that energy into doing something about it. Yes, your story matters. Yes, your pain is real. But if you keep focusing on telling people why you're not where you want to be, instead of doing what it takes to get there, you'll be stuck forever. Your story can inspire people, but only if it ends in triumph, not excuses. The world needs your example, not your explanation. When you're serious about growth, you stop explaining and start executing. You don't have time to convince people why you're not moving, because you're too busy moving. You don't defend your delays. You own them. You own them. You don't justify the lack of results. You change your approach and go harder. Execution is how you rewrite your life. It's how you shift the narrative. And guess what? When you start getting results, people stop asking questions. They stop doubting. They stop criticizing. Because results speak louder than any explanation ever could. Let me tell you something real. Success doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from being consistent. You're going to mess up. You're going to mess up. You're going to fall short sometime. But the difference between people who make it and people who don't isn't that one group never failed. It's that one group got back up and kept moving. They didn't spend a month explaining why they slipped. They got back on their feet and kept going. Action corrects mistakes. Action creates momentum. When you're in motion, you can pivot, you can learn, you can grow. But when you're sitting still, defending your inactivity, you're not learning. You're stuck. And no one gets stronger standing still. There's a trap people fall into when they get used to explaining instead of executing. They become professional excuse makers. They become really good at talking about what happened, how hard it is, why it's not their fault. And that might get sympathy. It might even get understanding, but it will never get results. You have to decide, do you want sympathy or do you want success? Because most of the time, you can't have both. Success demands a different level of focus, a different level of commitment. It doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It doesn't make space for overthinking. It just demands that you show up over and over until something breaks, until something clicks, until the vision becomes real. There are people out there right now with half your talent and twice your hustle winning, not because they're better than you, not because they're luckier than you, but because they stopped talking and started doing. They don't sit around explaining their limitation. They work around them. They don't complain about their disadvantages. They build anyway. Every day they choose to execute, and little by little, step by step, they create separation. They move ahead. They get results, because that's what execution does. It stacks up. It compounds. It turns days into progress and effort into elevation. It's easy to talk. It's easy to explain. It's easy to say, I would add, or I was going to, but easy never built anything great. Easy never created freedom. Easy never changed lives. If you want to win, you have to do the hard stuff. You have to act when it's uncomfortable. You have to move when you're uncertain. You have to get up and grind, even when no one is watching, even when nothing seems to be working, even when you're tired of trying. That's how you break through, not by explaining your pain, by pushing through it. No. So the next time you're tempted to explain why you didn't follow through, stop yourself. Catch it. Comfort is one of the most deceptive traps you'll ever face. It doesn't scream at you. It doesn't alarm you. It slowly lulls you into settling. It convinces you that you're okay where you are, that you've done enough, that there's no need to push harder. Comfort is subtle. It whispers in your ear and tells you to hit snooze one more time, to wait for the right moment, to slow down because you've earned a break. And before you know it, you're stuck. You're no longer chasing growth. You're just maintaining. You're existing, not evolving. And the worst part, it feels good until it doesn't. Growth lives outside of that comfort zone. The pain, the pressure, the struggle, that's where transformation happens. That's where you find the next level of yourself. But too many people never get there because the second they feel discomfort, they retreat. They go back to what's safe, what's familiar. They confuse relief with progress. They think just because the pressure has stopped, that means they move forward, when in reality, they just stopped moving. They've paused, they've delayed, they've given in to the illusion that being comfortable is the goal, when in truth, comfort is the enemy of greatness. You can't grow in a place that requires nothing from you. You can't evolve by doing what you've always done. Growth requires tension. It demands effort. It forces you to break through your limits, to shed the parts of you that can't carry the weight of your future. And that process is not pleasant. It's painful, but it's necessary because the person you want to become doesn't live where you are now. That version of you is waiting on the other side of the discomfort you're avoiding. The grind is not glamorous. It's not always Instagram worthy. It's waking up tired and going to work anyway. It's hearing no after no, but still showing up. It's failing and having the courage to try again. That's what growth looks like. It's not always a breakthrough moment. Sometimes it's quiet, painful repetition. Sometimes it's just doing the right thing, even when you don't see the reward right away. But every time you choose growth over comfort, you gain strength. Every time you choose to keep pushing, even when you're tired, even when it hurts, you move one step closer to the life you say you want. People love the idea of growth, but they hate the process. They want the results without the resistance. But that's not how life works. You don't get to rise without climbing. You don't get to level up without letting go. Growth is sacrifice. It's leaving behind what's easy so you can step into what's possible. And that sacrifice starts with your mindset. You have to rewire your brain to embrace the struggle. You have to stop asking, when will this get easier? And start asking, how can I get stronger? Because here's the truth. It's not supposed to be easy. If it were easy, everyone would have it. If it were comfortable, everyone would do it. But most people don't. Most people settle. They talk about what they want, but they live according to what's comfortable. They build a life around avoiding pain. And in the end, that avoidance costs them everything. Comfort may protect you from immediate pain, but it guarantees long-term regret. It keeps you from becoming who you were born to be. And nothing is worth that. You need to develop a relationship with discomfort, not as your enemy, but as your trainer. Every time life challenges you, it's giving you a chance to grow. Every obstacle is an opportunity to toughen your mind, to strengthen your character, to sharpen your skills. Discomfort is a gift, but only if you learn how to use it. Stop seeing it as a sign to quit. Start seeing it as a signal to level up. That's where your edge comes from. That's where your confidence is built, not in the wins, but in the grind that comes before the win. When you embrace discomfort, you become dangerous. You become unstoppable. Because now you're not afraid of pain. You're not intimidated by pressure. You've trained yourself to run toward the challenge, not away from it. You don't wait for perfect conditions because you understand there's no such thing. You create your own momentum. You build your own fire. And that fire doesn't come from comfort. It comes from courage. There's always going to be an easier route. There will always be shortcuts, distractions, opportunities to escape the work. But none of those things will take you to greatness. None of those things will help you grow. What will is discipline. What will is consistency. What will is getting comfortable being uncomfortable. Every time you choose the hard road, you gain something. You gain experience. You gain mental toughness. You gain the tools to keep going when most people stop. You were not built to sit still. You were not created to be average. You were wired for greatness, but greatness requires a price. Every single day you wake up, you're laying bricks. Whether you realize it or not, your habits, your thoughts, your actions, they're shaping your future, brick by brick, decision by decision. The problem is, most people don't connect the dots between what they're doing daily and the life they're going to end up living. Their success is one big moment, one breakthrough, one lucky opportunity, but it's not. Success is built in silence. It's built in those quiet hours when nobody's watching. It's built in your discipline and your choices, in how you spend your time when the lights are off and the cameras aren't rolling. Your future is being created right now. Not someday, not later, but today. And the scary part is most people are building a future they're not going to want to live in. There's no mystery to success. There's no magic formula. It's simple. What you do daily is who you become permanently. If you grind daily, you become relentless. If you procrastinate daily, you become inconsistent. If you learn daily, you become wise. If you waste time daily, you become regretful. That's the truth nobody wants to hear because it means taking responsibility. It means owning the fact that where you are now is a result of what you've been doing consistently. It's not about what you do once in a while when you're inspired. It's about what you do every day, regardless of how you feel. Discipline is the difference. The people you admire, the people living the life you want, they didn't get there by accident. They got there through repetition, through routine, through habits that look boring from the outside, but are building something powerful on the inside. Boom. They understood something most people ignore, the compound effect. You don't get strong by going to the gym once. You don't build wealth by saving money one time. You don't become a leader by reading one book. It's the accumulation of effort, the stacking of wins, the small decisions made every day that add up to a life most people only dream of. It's easy to underestimate the power of one day. You tell yourself skipping the day doesn't matter. Missing one workout doesn't matter. Man, slacking off just this once doesn't matter. But that's the mindset that kills momentum. Because what you do once, you'll do again. And before you know it, one day becomes a week becomes a month, and now you're further behind than when you started. But it works the other way too. One win today leads to another tomorrow. One small step forward builds confidence, and that confidence fuels progress. That's why the daily grind matters so much. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. You need to stop looking at the big picture and start focusing on the daily picture. Stop obsessing over the finish line and fall in love with the steps. It's the steps that make you. It's the steps that build your identity. That's how you rewire your mind. That's how you turn discipline into a lifestyle, not a struggle. The truth is, if your actions don't match your goals are just wishes. You say you want to be successful, but do you wake up early to work on your craft? You say you want financial freedom, but are you tracking your spending and learning how to invest? You say you want to be great, but are you putting in the reps when no one is clapping for you? That's where it's decided. Not in public, not on social media, but in the dark, behind closed doors, in your daily choices. People want microwave results in a slow-cooked world, but excellence doesn't come quick. You don't get the reward without the repetition. You don't get the results without the routine. And that routine, it gets boring. It gets hard. It tests your patience. But if you can stay locked in, if you can stay committed when it's dull, when it's tiring, when it feels pointless, that's when you win. That's when things start to change. That's when the results show up. Everyone else calls it talent, luck, or destiny. But you'll know the truth. You built it brick by brick. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your habits. That's why your daily grind matters more than your biggest goal. Dreams are nothing without discipline. Vision is wasted without execution. Every time you say yes to the grind, you get closer. Every time you say yes to hard work, you separate yourself from the average. And if you say yes enough times, consistently enough, the future you've been visualizing eventually becomes the life you're living. The most powerful thing you can do for your future is win today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when I feel like it. Win today. Because if you can win today, you can win tomorrow. If you can string together enough daily wins, there's no mountain you can't climb. Life isn't going to wait for you. It's not going to slow down because you're unsure. And it definitely won't pause while you try to find your motivation. Every day something is coming for you. Fear, doubt, distractions, failure, pressure. And if you're not ready, if you're not locked in, if you're not aggressive about going after what you want, life will eat one lie. You either become the hunter or the hunted. You either chase your dream or you're chased by regret. This isn't about being motivated. This is about making a decision. A decision that no matter what comes, you're not backing down. No matter how hard it gets, you're not folding. You're either going to step up, take the lead, and execute your mission, or you're going to get swallowed by everything that's out here trying to stop you. There are no sidelines in this game. You can't hide. You can't sit back and hope things fall in place. If you're not making moves, something else is moving in on your territory. If you're not growing, you're shrinking. If you're not focused, you're being distracted. This world is competitive. It's cutthroat. The space you want, the level you want, the dream you say you're chasing, somebody else is after it too. And the only difference between you and them isn't talent. It's not background. It's not opportunity. It's mindset. The one who wins is the one who acts like a predator. The one who attacks the morning. The one who doesn't wait for permission. The one who's tired of being passive, tired of watching life happen and ready to make life happen. You can't afford to be soft with your goal. You can't afford to be passive with your vision. This isn't a hobby. It's your future. This isn't a dream you get to dabble with. It's your life's work. The people who get to the top don't get there by accident. They get there because they take ownership. They wake up with urgency. They go to war for their goals every single day, not sometimes. Not when it's convenient, every single day. Because they know that if they let up for even 1 second, something else will fill that space. Doubt will creep in. Fear will take root. Laziness will become a pattern. And once you lose control, it's hard to get it back. You were not born to be average. You were not created to live in the shadow. But if you don't start showing up with authority, that's where you'll stay hidden, forgotten, underwhelmed by your own life. It doesn't matter how big your dream is if your actions are small. It doesn't matter how bad you want it if you're not willing to fight for it. This is the season to get aggressive. This is the season to develop that inner fire, that animal instinct that said, I refuse to be outworked. You don't need approval. You don't need applause. You need discipline. You need a routine that scares your old self. You need to become the kind of person who wakes up with a mission and doesn't sleep until it's done. Regret is real and it's heavy. It doesn't show up right away, it waits. It waits until it's too late to change. And then it hits you with everything you should have done, could have done, would have done if only you had moved sooner. If only you had been bolder. If only you had taken yourself seriously. Don't let that be your story. Don't let comfort talk you out of your calling. Don't let fear steal your fight. Everything you want is out there, but it's not gonna come to you. You have to go get it. You have to wake up hungry, wake up determined, wake up like somebody's trying to take what's yours, because they are. You're either writing your story, or you're being written your story, or you're being written out of someone else's. Every day, you get to decide whether you're in control or being controlled, whether you're reacting or creating, whether you're drifting or dominating. And that decision has nothing to do with your background, your resources, or your current situation. It has everything to do with your attitude, with your intensity, with your commitment to showing up no matter what. Because once you flip that switch, once you decide that you're done playing it safe, done playing it small, everything changes. You become a force. You become focused. You become someone who doesn't wait for opportunity, you create it. This isn't just motivation. This is survival. This is what separates those who make history from those who become a footnote. You don't need more time. You don't need more chances. You need to become dangerous. You need to walk into every room like you belong there. You need to attack your goals like your life depends on it. Because it does. Your legacy depends on it. Your purpose depends on it. And if you don't take control, if you don't become the hunter, life will hunt you. Doubt will hunt you. Excuses will hunt you. And eventually, they'll win unless you decide to fight back. So don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for the motivation to hit. Don't wait for the conditions to feel right.